Hey, what's going on, everyone? Boilon here, and we're going to be talking about something that I'm sure everyone is wondering about, that is concerning everyone, and that's to do with the gold crunch. Now, I say it as if it's just become a thing, but it's always been a thing. Gold has always been a problem in this game, but it's progressively gotten worse as time goes on, as more characters get released, as more reworks happen, and as more levels go up and gear tiers as well. So that's all in today's video. Hopefully you guys will follow along, and without further ado, let's get into it. And so it's this Reddit page here that I really want to draw to people's attention. Now, I saw this a couple of days ago. Like, can we zoom in? I think we can zoom in a little bit. Oh, shit, that's too much. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so why the gold crunch feels so much worse right now, by Raceland43084. Thank you for this post, and you know, it got quite a bit of upvotes as well, so 393 upvotes here, and I think it's really important, so let's see what he has to say. So why the gold crunch feels so much worse right now? I don't disagree with the MSF stats experts. I'm willing to concede that we get on average 1 to 1.5 million gold per day. Now, I don't, personally myself, I don't have a spreadsheet for how much gold we're getting. This is probably accurate when you include things like payday over the course of the month and you divide it by 30 days. And also the amount of money that we do get from the ISO 8 campaign. That was added in. It's very low, but albeit it is more gold coming into the game. So I will say that before we continue. An amount that would let you more than keep up with the new character release cadence. However, we are in the middle of two occurrences that are causing players to feel the gold crunch more now than maybe another time in Strikeforce. First, we all know the gold cost went up a lot with level 80 in Gear 15. But there was no visible gold income increase. This is absolutely right. So when the level cap went up, we know that it actually, I think it, 70 to 75, I believe, costs 2 million gold. I think 75 to 80 might cost like 2.5, 2.6. I forget exactly. But then, of course, there's the gold on top to equip the gear from Gear 14 to Gear 15. And while this might not seem like a lot, it's a lot when you consider new characters. Because every time a new character comes out, if you want to max them out, yeah, I know, not everyone's going to max a brand new character out. But if you do, it's going to cost you somewhere in the realm of 10 million gold. I know this because I did this with Doom. Took him up straight to level 80, 7775, gear tier 15, and I'm pretty sure that costs me in the realm of 10 million gold. Now, when new characters come out, yes, I know you're not going to be able to do this with every single character. You're going to have to pick and choose, probably. It's still a whopping increase. And as we go up with the gear tier, and levels, when we get the level 85 increase, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, level 85, gear tier 16, it's only going to get worse with, again, no visible gold income increase. So this is really important to talk about. The second, which I don't believe most people are taking into account into their spreadsheets, is 6 of the 7 last new teams have required players to also invest on average 2 old characters. I lost my spot there for a second. Those teams were Infinity Watch, 2 characters. This is Gamora and Nebula. Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Shadowlands, Daredevil, Night Nurse, and Elektra, if you wanted to level Elektra. Astonishing X-Men with Beast. I mean, he is an older character, but he's not that old. Skilletary, 2 to 5. Not going to list them all. Captain Marvel. Sorry, not Captain Marvel, but she could actually be used on that team. Merc Soldier, Punisher, Black Widow now, and Killmonger. If you happen to use Killmonger, so it's more like 4. I don't know. That 5 might have been Captain Marvel, and Pym-Tech 2. So Ant-Man and Wasp, of course. And even if you had previously invested in these older characters before, most of them were still level 70 or less, and probably gear tier 12 or less. I will say, for myself specifically, a lot of these characters, were sitting maybe gear 9, gear 10, and like level 55 to 60, because that's normally where I take a lot of my characters to be able to use them in Blitz, so they're not kind of dragging too much, and it gives me a little bit of extra win rating on my Blitz scores and things like that. So even if they were kind of trashy characters, I still try to bring them up to an average level, just so I could use them there. But yes, even I would have had to, had I wanted to bring them up further, have to spend that much more resources to get them usable. Given the much higher cost of level 70 plus, gear 13 plus, and any T4s, any prior gold investments were a drop in the bucket compared to the new gold costs to power them up to be competitive today. A good example of this right now is Infinity Watch with Gamora and Nebula. Now, this is, I'm currently filming this on Twitch with the live stream, but if you were with me earlier on in the live stream, then you would have known that I have recently put my Gamora up to gear tier 15, and I do have her at level 80. And that wasn't no easy task. You know, that cost me a lot of gold for the gear, for the levels, and the ability upgrades. So that was quite a bit, you know, that I could have used on a newer character, aka for Phyla-Vell or something, which, you know, had to go to and you know, rightly so. Gamora's really strong, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But, you know, this is still gold and resources I had to divert, you know, into older characters. This is also why many players feel like Scopely is releasing too many characters, even though they have not increased the new character release cadence. So this is kind of important here too, because they actually haven't increased the frequency of new characters. It's been the same. I think a lot of people just argue is still too frequently. So, you know, we're getting 3 to 4 characters a patch cycle, which normally are about 5 weeks, I would say, give or take, of a patch cycle. So that means we're getting a new character every 10 days. Give or take, and this is quite a bit. Now, I have played other mobile games. To name one, I know this is not specifically, you know, it is a hero. It's a collector of sorts called Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia. I am a big Final Fantasy fan on the side, but they release new characters every 2 weeks on the dot, so at least it's predictable. And we have there's also event schedules and stuff. That's a completely different discussion as well. But you know, it's just too much and too fast here. We don't have the gold to keep up, and that's the bottom line. And just exactly what it says here, the bottom line, the gold crunch feels worse, and it isn't just a figment of the player's imagination. It's very real, despite how much gold we do or don't receive. And yes, this is probably intended. Personally, I'm going to try to adjust by getting even more selective with which teams I decide to invest in. So if you are a free-to-play player, I think it's very important to know your limit. You know, how much gold are you bringing in on a, let's say, monthly basis? You know, maybe keep track. You know, start at the beginning of the month, end at the end of the month. Maybe, I know this is hard to do. You don't spend your money, or maybe you count up, you know, your gold milestone every day. How much gold are you spending? You know, how much do you have at the end of the month? This would be very interesting, because there might be, you know, as free-to-play players are squeezed more and more every patch, I think possibly skipping a patch, as crazy as that sounds, might have to be a thing. If you want to build up a full team, which is very expensive resource-wise, there might come to a point where you need to skip characters. You need to skip multiple characters. You need to skip an entire patch. This might be a thing. So, for example, we have the Infinity Watch patch right now. A lot of people are going harder into this than they did last patch with Heroes for Hire, which was a war defense team. And even arguably with things like Shadowlands as well. Some people built them up, but not everyone did. So you might need to define what's skippable for you and what's not. And this is going to depend on how much money you do or don't spend on this game, or the amount of resources that you can bring in depending on where you're at in the game. So that is very important. TLDR gold costs have significantly increased, while gold income has not visibly increased. 6 of the past 7 characters required players to power up on average 2 older characters. The gold crunch is probably worse now than ever. So that is really important to talk about. And let's jump back into my game. So, you know, what's really important, and you see how low of gold I'm in right now, 650k. That's just because I recently put a lot of stuff into Infinity Watch. But if we click on all here, oops, I didn't mean to hit on Squirrel Girl. So I have Gamora maxed out, Nebula sitting at 75, Phyla-Vell at 70, Moondragon at 70. Now, in terms of my Heroes for Hire, and I have no gold orbs saved. I have absolutely nothing. I'm tapped. I'm more or less tapped right now. And if we look at my Heroes for Hire, because that was last patch, so Misty Knight and Colleen Wing. Is my Colleen Wing still on here? I don't think she is. But this kind of gives you an idea of what resources I didn't spend. Now, okay, I did take Misty Knight to 65, Colleen Wing to 70. I did put a little bit more resources into Colleen Wing than I did with Misty Knight. That's mainly because I had the red star pull that I did, and I'm almost at 5-star here. But, you know, I didn't really... Iron Fist and Luke Cage were already here because I used them a lot in the Defenders rework. So I didn't actually put a lot of resources into these 2 new characters, which was fine because this allowed me to save up the resources that I wanted to for Infinity Watch. Now, But again, if you were, say, someone that put a lot of resources into last patch's characters, Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, and sorry, I forgot about Kestrel, right? You know, because Kestrel was part of that patch as well. And my Kestrel is completely maxed out, and that explains why I didn't really have the resources to put into Heroes for Hire, because I just didn't have it available, because I did it into Kestrel here. So level 80, 7775, everything maxed out, right? So this cost me another 10 million gold, like I said, which would have cost me for Dr. Doom. So I don't think that players have the ability to max out a team, a full team, because it's just too much resources. So in order to do that, realistically, you would need to save, probably for a patch, 10 million gold to max out a brand new character. You know, so with 3 from Infinity Watch, that's 30 million, plus any more gold that you would have had to put into Gamora and Nebula. You know, hypothetically, let's say you built some of them up a little bit already. Let's say 7 million even. So that would be 14 million plus 30 million. That's 44 million gold that you would need to get Infinity Watch online properly. And that is a lot. Now, if we say that we're getting 1 to 1.5 million gold a day, like the person on Reddit suggested, then that could be argued that's anywhere between 30 and 40 million or so per month. Now, that is going to depend on some heavy RNG on your gold orbs and, you know, where you're at in the game in terms of your gold farming. But we can see that's a lot of resources. So realistically, if you're free to play, you need to set targets for your spending. And this is very important. What teams do you want to bring up? What teams are skippable, and what patches are skippable? So kind of understanding, do you need these characters? Do you need to raise these characters or not? And if it's not too important to your gameplay, then maybe consider skipping them. So Heroes for Hire could be one example of this, even though there was a lot of hype around them. I think Kestrel was obviously the character to raise out of that patch. Heroes for Hire, for those luxurious people who had that gold sitting around and they wanted to do that. But for me, you know, I didn't put too much in. Even me, I might have put a little bit too much resources in than I should have into my Heroes for Hire. The 2 new characters, rather. So there will come a time where we all need to make this decision, especially for the patches. You know, if there's 4 new characters, how many of these characters do I need? Who can I skip? And I think we need to start asking this every single patch. So I think when it comes to new patches for me and my channel, I'm gonna, you know, make some suggestions. Do we need these characters? If not, hold on to your resources, unless you're someone who spends a lot of money and has a lot of gold flowing around, unless you got lucky with some 3 million gold pulls and, you know, you have a bunch of that sitting around. But realistically, I think even for me, I'm only going to have enough gold to invest in one team every 2 patches. I think that seems a bit likely, given how much it costs to get a team online. If you want to completely max out a character, right now, keep in mind, right now, I'm not talking about, you know, we haven't even started to talk about gear tier 16 and level 85, because that's going to be another monumental increase. And if they don't bring out any more gold between now and then, we're in a whole load of trouble. So let's talk about that, actually. So level 85, we're currently at level 80. I think that we're looking probably to get a level increase, I would say, by the fall. I would say September, October is very realistic, given that I think the level 80 increase also happened around this time last year. Please correct me in the comments down below if I am wrong. I forget the exact date when level 80 went live. I'm pretty sure that was patch 5.0. Also correct me in that down below when we got the RTA game mode. I don't quite remember. But, you know, we do have 85 on the horizon with Dark Dimension 5. We know that that's going to come eventually. So it's going to cost us even more. You know, for example, do I have a character that I can take from 75 to 80? You know, so here, this costs us I don't even have enough. 2.1 million gold. That's a lot. So we can only imagine that 80 to 85 is probably going to cost us 2.5 to 3 million, something like that, just to get those extra 5 levels. And then you're going to have to do that. Obviously, you're going to have to prioritize who you're going to bring up. But man, when new characters come out, and that's the thing, right? Whenever a new character comes out, you need to bring them up to that point where they're usable in the current game meta, in the current game content, because you're going to have to bring them up to, say, 85 when the next level cap increase goes. And instead of spending 10 million to get a new character online, it's going to cost you 12 or 13 million. And so that number is rising even more and more, but yet the amount of money that's coming into the game is not keeping up. frankly. And we have Payday coming around. Actually, it depends on when this video goes live, but as of me recording this video, Payday on a Friday. This is a monthly event. This needs to be like twice monthly, I think, at this rate. And even then, it's only 2.4 million gold. It's not a ton. They could be a bit more generous about this. If they doubled this and kept it monthly, I'd be fine with that. Or twice a month. They need to do more when it comes to Payday. They only give us 2.4 million gold at tier 7, which, keep in mind, not all players are going to have necessarily. You know, mid-game players might not be up to tier 7. You have to be a very late-game player, perhaps. There are more characters available for mercs, but, you know, still, you need to get to that point. Not everyone's up there. So, we have Payday, we have gold orbs that come from Greek orbs, but the Greek rays rather, but it's just not enough. There's not enough gold coming in. The only tangible increase to gold lately, as far as I'm aware, was through the ISO 8 campaign. And again, I forget when this was. Probably sometime in the fall as well, last fall. I can't remember when ISO 8 first came out. But we're getting about 965 per 12 energy, which makes it, I don't know, something like 12k per 120 energy. I forget how much ISO 8 energy you get per day because it's different than regular campaign energy. My point is this probably only tax on less than 100k gold, probably a day. And that's just not enough. Over 30 days, 3 million. Okay, fair. You know, it's almost on par. It's actually on par with Payday. If you multiply the daily ISO 8 campaign gold and you multiply it by 30 days, it's actually more than Payday, I think, which is sad. So we need more revenue. We need more ways to get gold. It's just not enough. What do they need to do? I think they need to raise the minimum amount of gold that comes from gold orbs. They did this once before, and I forget how long ago that was. If there's some lore keepers out there, some Marvel Strike Force history people out there, and you have the date for this, please let me know. I forget when it was. I know I was playing around. I was definitely playing when that happened, but I don't remember. The minimum gold increases did happen, must have been over before I started YouTubing, so at least a year and a half ago. But this needs another look at. The minimum increase needs to go up. It needs to be double this realistically, like 80k minimum on the sides and like 150k in the center. The average gold orb gives you something like 150k. I think that should be double up to 300k gold, and then we'd be in a lot better position than we were before, because then that 1 to 1.5 million daily gold, you know, we might be seeing that 1.5 to 2 million, and then yeah, that might be enough for what we need to do. It would be significantly better than where we're currently sitting at, but it's just not. It doesn't sit right with me, and especially if we don't see any gold increases before level 85, which I think is very likely in the next 3 to 4 months. I'm not sure what to say. I don't know what to say. I know that gear 16 and level 85 is inevitable, but without any increase to gold, we're going to be strapped even more than before, and free-to-play players and pay-to-play alike, you know, are going to be strapped even further. And for those of us who don't spending money on gold, real money on the gold offers is absolutely horrendous. Please don't do it. It's really bad. But I know that a lot of people have, you know, been itching to do, or not itching, I don't know what I meant to say. You know, some people felt that they had to do that in order to keep up. But they need to do more. Boundless needs to do more. They need to provide us with more ways to get gold, more ways. The gold values in things that we currently have need to increase. For sure, at a bare minimum, but I hope that they bring out things down the line. One thing I forgot to say actually before we end this is that why don't they add it to the Strike Pass? Why they adjusted the Strike Pass actually. These purple, I believe that's new from this month, isn't it? So why don't they take the idea and put gold orbs into the Strike Pass in both the bottom and the top? I think if they did that, that would be helpful to alleviate the monthly. It wouldn't be everything, but it would help to add gold orbs at different parts of the Strike Pass. And then if you wanted to buy the Strike Pass, because some people do, obviously for the shards, because of Polaris is in it right now, that it would actually provide ways for people to get more gold at a more reasonable rate. There is actually there's one gold orb here. Woo! I don't know if there's any more. I think that's it. I think it's just one gold orb, I'm pretty sure. They need to do way more than that. So 1 on the bottom, 2 on the top, that's not enough. Give us like 5 times more and you know, even more than that, 10 times more, we'll talk. Give us 10 orbs on the bottom, 20 orbs on the top, and then yeah, maybe people will buy the Strike Pass more than they already do. You know, that could be an extra 30 gold orbs if you buy the strike pass, and I think a lot of people will do that. Maybe not 10. I don't know what the number needs to be, but they need to do something. So I'm really disappointed about that. We could talk about the RTA Battle Pass. Also doesn't include it, but it's not available right now, so I can't check what the rewards are. I know there's no gold pass. There's no gold orbs in there as far as I'm aware. They could put it there, but I think Strike Pass would make more sense to put it in there. So, long story short, we need more gold. We don't have enough. Gold, level 85 and Gear Tier 16 is on the horizon with reworked characters in new teams. We're needing to bring up characters more than we did before. Even if it's a 3 or 4 character new character patch, we're also getting reworks every patch, more or less, and those require to bring some of those characters up as well. So it's not just 3 to 4 new characters, it's 3 to 4 new characters plus 2 to 3 reworked that we might need to raise to make them relevant, and we don't have enough resources. So Boundless, give us more resources. Of course, we say this almost all the time, but they're just really gouging us when it comes to gold specifically. They have helped us out in other matters. Gold hasn't hit that yet. Hopefully it will soon. Time will tell. So that's the end of my video, guys. Thanks for coming along this gold crunch journey. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Oilon signing out.